Native speakers don't speak textbook English. They connect words, reduce sounds, skip sounds, and often speak much faster than you used to hear in class. In fact, even native speakers sometimes struggle to understand each other. And once you understand why, this problem becomes much less frustrating. I've actually experienced something similar myself. Not with American English, not with British English, but with an unfamiliar accent. I remember speaking with a colleague whose English was excellent. The problem wasn't his vocabulary. The problem wasn't his grammar. The problem was that I wasn't used to his accent. He would say a word, I would ask him to repeat it. He would repeat, and I still wouldn't understand. Meanwhile, other colleagues understood him perfectly. Not because their English was better than mine, but because they had been working with him for months now, and they had become accustomed to his accent. And that's when I realized something important. Understanding English isn't just about knowing words. It's also about training your ears. Another reason native speakers are difficult to understand is that your teacher and native speaker have completely different goals. Your teacher is trying to help you out. They speak clearly, they pronounce words carefully, they choose vocabulary that matches your level. Native speakers don't do that. Not because they're rude, not because they don't want to help you. They are simply communicating naturally. And that's a huge difference. Think about it this way. You are a native speaker too. Yes, maybe not in English, but in your first language. Imagine an American comes to you in your country and starts speaking your language. Would you automatically slow down? Would you carefully choose easier words? Would you constantly think about which grammar structure might be difficult for them? Probably not. Not because you're rude, it simply wouldn't occur to you. You would speak naturally, and that's exactly what native English speakers are doing. Another challenge is accents. Maybe you have been learning British English, and then you visited New York. Or maybe you've been learning American English, and then you watched an Australian interview. Suddenly, English sounds completely different. The vocabulary changes, the pronunciation changes, the rhythm changes, and sometimes even native speakers need time to adjust. In fact, I once saw this happen in a room full of native speakers. I remember attending a conference with American colleagues and partners from London. There was this guy, Mike, from New York, and another guy, Peter, from London. Both were native speakers. Both had spoken English their entire lives. And yet, Mike kept asking people what Peter had just said. At one point, someone else practically became an interpreter between British English and American English. It sounds ridiculous, but it happens more often than people think. And honestly, I found that incredibly reassuring. Because if native speakers sometimes struggle with unfamiliar accents, why should language learners feel embarrassed? So, what should you do? Don't panic. You don't assume your English is bad. Instead, expose yourself to different kinds of English. Watch interviews, listen to podcasts, watch people from different countries. Train your ears, not just your vocabulary, because the goal isn't understand one English speaker. The goal is to understand English in the real world. So if native speakers sometimes seem impossible to understand, remember this. The problem isn't always your English. Sometimes it's speed, sometimes it's pronunciation, sometimes it's accents, and sometimes even native speakers struggle with those things too. So I would love to hear from you now. Which English accent is the hardest for you to understand? Let me know in the comments. And in the next video, we're going to talk about something even more frustrating. Why you can exactly know what you want to say and still freeze when it's your turn to speak.